People are interested in spirits and the soul all over the world, everywhere. I think Americans, rather than just believing that they're there, because they are, that maybe when we die there is something that can remain and that we do have a soul, but rather than Americans just believing that as part of their faith, we question it. I think people want to know what happens when we die. The Driskill is the most haunted hotel in Texas. You can consistently find numerous people working, staying there that have had some experience. And so who doesn't love the Driskill?
This hotel was built in 1885, finished in 1886. And the man that built it really had a heart for making a beautiful hotel. He used the best stone, made the largest Texas doors. I believe that he built it with lots of love. His spirit will always be here. I believe that's why they smell the cigar that he used to love to smoke. I believe when we're doing a lot of work, he comes to see what we're doing to this place.
Well, I think whenever you have a historic hotel, this hotel is 122 years old, there's a lot of unexplained happenings that you probably could find. Well, it's a bad electrical system, or any number of things can happen in an old building. I think people are fascinated with things that are mysteries that they can't explain. Almost everyone that has been in Austin any length of time has a story about the Driskill. At different times, I've certainly thought someone was standing behind me as I'm working, only to turn around and there not be anyone. And I think most of the employees here have reported that, is that you just kind of accept it and go on with it. And it adds character, it adds charm, and it adds stories.
I've heard stories of there's a gal that just recently quit, but her first day, she was walking through the mezzanine inside, and we have some rocking chairs that usually are in the mezzanine, but they took them off of it due to weather. And when she walked in, 5 of them were not rocking, and the 6th one was. So that freaked her out, to see that.
There was, as you know, with our legislature meeting every 2 years, there was a senator who was living here during the legislative session with his family, had a little girl, and she was playing on the mezzanine level with a little rubber ball, and the ball bounced down the stairs, and she followed the ball down and unfortunately tripped and fell to her death on the landing of the stairs. Over the years, that's been one of the most reported spirits here, has been the sound of a little child's laughter. Many times guests have reported hearing children and go out to open the door to kind of wonder what's going on and not see a child. We've had front desk agents, our reservation staff, that have been out front late at night hearing a child and wondering what parents let their child downstairs without them, never to see a child. So the laughter of children is often heard, again, late at night and when there's no children anywhere to be found. In the Maximilian room, which is on the mezzanine level, we have a set of 8 mirrors in there, and those were actually made for Emperor Maximilian whenever he was in rule in Mexico. His wife Carlotta went back to Europe to sit for them, and her bust is at the top of each of the 8 mirrors. Unfortunately, there was the revolution, and Maximilian was overthrown and assassinated before Carlotta returned from Europe. So those mirrors had been completed and were packed up and shipped, and when they got to New Orleans, were held in New Orleans because there was Maximilian and Carlotta were not in Mexico City. They've never hung anywhere but the Driskill Hotel. A lot of people have reported seeing an image of a woman in white. These are the infinity mirrors. They go on forever whenever you look into one of them. A lot of our guests, a lot of the employees have reported seeing just this glance of a woman in white or a shadowy figure in white. There's no correlation to Carlotta. She was never here. Maximilian was never here. They were never in Austin, as far as we know. Rarely do you have a guest that seems to be turned off by it, or say, you know, more than that, we have guests that call here and want to stay in a haunted room, or they're asking for, you know, the ghost stories. So it's just one of those things that people are fascinated with, whether or not they're true believers, whether or not they've ever had an experience. It's kind of fun to talk about.
Consciousness is tricky, and consciousness is what animates life, and so it's hard to really know what it's capable of. And I don't think that consciousness is totally imprisoned in the gross physical world and flesh and blood. I think that it's far stranger than that. And so I could definitely see why conscious moments in the past could still be fluttering around, you know. So I do believe, I believe in ghosts.
We talk about, we see on other TV shows, we read about, you know, spirits that don't want to leave for whatever reason. They don't want to cross over into that next life. And I think that this is a beautiful place. You have guests that they never want to leave.
You know, if there are ghosts, there's probably a lot of them floating around. And they, you know, maybe staying in a barn or in someone's attic isn't always the most comfy place. Maybe the most luxurious hotel in Austin is the place you're going to want to go. Think about Texas pride and the deep sense of attachment that there is to this Texas pride. You know, you think about how people really love the land here. You know, there's a lot already there to see why, you know, someone might not want to leave. You know, people love Texas, and maybe some people like Texas more than they like heaven. I don't know. So I struck up a conversation with her, and she was telling me that she could see the walls breathing. And I was like, oh.
Ah, you got it? Yeah.
This is our second annual Dismember the Alamo Zombie Film Festival at the Alamo Draft House Lake Creek, and this is also our second annual zombie walk in promotion of said festival.
And zombies' rights.
And zombie rights.
They're a demographic that's been picked on a lot.
And people at the Capitals need to, like, I don't know, right? Like, open up their windows and look down at the people from their ivory tower.
I hear a lot of people talking about the bad economy and the war in Iraq, but really, I think our main concern right now should be the rights of the undead, like us.
This is our second year actually doing this. Last year we did around the same time and probably had about 200 zombies creeping up Congress, attacking the duck tour buses and leaving bloody handprints on the windows everywhere.
I'm in the car! Just throw him in the car!
Austin's really great. Everyone's really supportive of zombie rights, and
a very zombie-friendly city.
Zombie-friendly city. One of the top in America. I think Forbes listed it as number like 8 of the top 10.
Thank you guys all for coming to the second annual Dismember the Alamo Zombie Walk for Equal Rights. Yeah! We're going to start here on 10th and Red River. We're going to head down Red River. We're going to head through the clubs and stuff in Red River. We're going to go down 6th Street to Congress, straight for the Capitol. Our voices will be heard. What do we want? Yeah! When do we want them? Yeah! That's right. Afterwards, we are coming back for a zombie happy hour at Club DeVille, where we will drink Bloody Marys and revel in the success. years and years of being a fan of the zombie genre probably played a part. And then last year, these two came up with the great idea to, hey, let's have a whole week of zombies. So we booked films. We have a shorts competition where people can create their own zombie films, and we show the best of program. And in order to get the word out, we have our annual zombie walk, because who doesn't like to douse yourself in a little fake blood and lurch up the street, you know?
A great online resource called zombiewalk.com. It's how zombie lurches are organized all over the country. This is a global movement.
Yeah.
We are a small pocket.
We got the idea this year from some zombie walks that are going on overseas of donating canned goods for charities. So a lot of people are bringing out canned goods today, and we're donating to the Capital Area Food Bank of Central Texas. So we're doing some good also, in addition to lurching.
Anybody that's into horror films and wants to support a festival comes out and walks around downtown and scares people like a zombie.
We work for House of Torment. So we're the 6th haunted house in the country and the #1 in Texas. And we do this every night for 8 hours a night, scaring people, and it is amazing and fun. We look a lot scarier at work, but today's a fun day for us, so.
It's a big, huge viral promotion for Alamo Drafthouse's Film Fest. They have a horror movie film fest next week, and this is the preempt to that to promote it.
Yeah, and we promote haunted houses here, and we just have a lot of fun for Halloween season. It's Austin. We can do all kinds of amazing things here.
James, a little story for you, man. On the banks of the Colorado, the place they call Town Lake, the whole world opened up for me just 'cause I got out in it. But first I was filled with love. Some did not share my view, but push didn't come to shove, and one by one they got a clue. Yeah, man, we all got a clue. Let's break it down. You see it one way, been that way for years. Suddenly, who's to say? Funny how it is. Came my way, things I had only dreamed of became unknown for me. Now it's a matter of keeping score. It's funny when you decide to be, the universe conspires with you to make it a reality. Funny how that is. Yeah, sometimes it's funny. You see it one way, been that way for years. Suddenly, who's to say? Funny how it is. Funny how it is. Break it. Go ahead, take some, James. Down on the trail, the cold north wind prevail. The sun can be such a fine, hell, it can even change your mind. Yeah. I love you, sunlight. You want my cockles, Where would we be without that shine in a hellhole? That's where I don't want to be there. Take a break now. See it one way, been that way for years. Suddenly, who's to say? Funny how it is. Funny how it is.
At the risk of stating the obvious, I'm beginning to think that a majority of people watching the show, no matter how many years they've been watching, still think that it's outdoors on a hill in a park somewhere overlooking Austin. And of course it's not, as becomes immediately apparent if you walk into the studio. But people do think, and that's the illusion of television, you know, that it's in some pristine outdoor setting.
I guess the main thing that I get from the show is integrity and authenticity. Those are sort of the things that really ring true to me about Austin City Limits. It's performers who, you know, you may not see other places, at least in a longer format like we offer. And it's also a lot of fun.
Loads in the morning, the artist, the band shows up in the afternoon. It takes a lot of hard work to make it seem as easy as it is. There are people working on the show who have been here longer than I. 30 years for me seems like a lifetime, and it has been my life's work. But there are people like Ray Lucero, David Huff, Gary Minotti, who have literally been working on the show longer than that, and in the case of some, from day one.
What keeps you coming back to do these?
Well, I love the show for one, I love music, and I love to see all my friends.
Gary, who's now director, started out as a student intern, work study. He was pulling cable. He did literally practically every gig in that studio, you know, which I think is a great thing because it gives Gary that perspective of what it takes to pull this show together and make it work. Now that he's actually the guy in the control room calling the shots, he can appreciate what everybody else does and what their contribution is to the success of the show.
Oh.
I'm actually charting from rehearsal. I got my notes, what the band played for me. I'm making shot sheets for the camera operators, and that's what it basically looks like at the end of it. And each camera operator has their assigned position, their assigned shot. We follow that during the taping, and miraculously it all comes together.
For me, it's been great because I see a lot of music that I otherwise would probably never see. It's great.
You know, this season has just been pretty diverse musically. I think that the commonality with everybody is this sort of sense of authenticity and originality and integrity.
The one thing I can say with certainty about the future of Austin City Limits is that it's going to change. It has to change. That's been the key to the success of the show, and why it's still on the air after 34 years is that it has changed. It hasn't been afraid of change. And yet, the core, or the essence, of what Austin City Limits is remains the same. It's a showcase for music. The music will change and evolve as music always has and will, but the show itself will also continue to grow with the success of the music festival, with the coming debut of the new Austin City Limits Studio Theater, our new home. In some ways it's a little bit scary because we've been in the same studio, 6A, for all of these 34 years. And we're going to move out into a brand new facility that we have spent going on 3 years designing carefully, deliberately, to make sure that we don't ruin what we've created all of these years. We've got to capture that same vibe, that same intimacy, that same magic that we've been able to in our studio here at UT.
Every show that I do, it's special. It's just like doing the first one over again, because every one of them are different. We come and do the show, we let the performers do their bit, and we record it. We sort of stay away from them and let them do what they do best, and let us do what we do best. And it's a great marriage. And I've seen it happen year and year again, over and over again. And people ask me, well, what's the secret to it? I think that's what it is. Working together as a family. You know, they do their best on stage, we do our best backstage. And that's what keeps me coming back. You know, people ask me who my favorite has been. I've seen so many people. I've seen Stevie Ray Vaughan, I've seen Ray Charles, The Killer, Jerry Lee Lewis, Fats Domino, a bunch of heroes of mine.
Word ballet tells you the story about a dance, and folklorico, it means the word about the people. So when you say ballet folklorico, it is dances of the people. When you think of ballet folklorico, it is actually Mexican folk dancing. And when you say Mexican folk dancing, we include how many countries, honey?
Oh, several. And I think the important thing is that it really breaks down into getting to know what dances represent that little town, whether it be, you know, they used to carry stuff on their head. Well, when you do a dance, you'll see the stuff on their head, you know, while they're dancing, because that's how they lived in that town. You're just bringing back a part of their lifestyle and how they lived, but showing it through dance so other people can enjoy it, not only entertainment, but also could get more of a history background from that.
This is something that my mother has been doing for now over 25 years, and she does this for all out of heart and for the community. And this is something she wanted to put together and offer it free, so that way we share everybody's culture with the Round Rock community, and even Austin and many more. Thank you so much, and this has been an honor to come and perform for you guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Yolanda.
When we went to school, to our public schools, I was one of the girls that I was blessed that I could learn the steps real quickly. And of course, because I loved it. And like anything you do in life, if you love it, you give it all you got.
It's very important to me not only as a child to see my mother's dream, but it's an important aspect for me as my way of life, is to continue something that I love. And I cherish every moment of it, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. And I think that's kind of what helped her grow, and now we're up to almost about 100 students that they have the same passion and the same commitment.
I like Ballet Folklorico because you can there's so many types of dance. There's slow dance, fast dances, very colorful ones, and it's just a way to express yourself, and you have so many friends here.
5 years old is when Yolanda Sanchez usually takes them in. So when they were able to dance and want to dance, they came in. I have a 15-year-old son that dances, and my daughter Brianna that's 5, she also dances. So they've been at practices with me. They've grown up with the music, being at practice, so it's just normal for them. They love it.
I'm Mexican, I know, but I don't know that much about my own culture, and this helps me because she tells what the dances are from and what it's about, so it helps me a lot.
We spread, the culture around our community, and I think it's amazing to be able to share, and it's not just the Mexican culture because there's so many different aspects from different nationalities that come and helped Ballet Folklorico be what it is today. So sharing that is definitely very meaningful to us. Her main motto is never turn down a student because of money. When people come to us and be like, oh, how much does it cost? They're always amazed when we tell them the price, because you go to these other dance studios here in Austin or other folklore, they're outrageous. And it is heartbreaking sometimes, when people are like, oh, so where do you have your studio? And we're like, we don't have a studio. And they're like, you've been dancing for this long. And we're like, no, because we're living through a motto where we'll never turn a kid down because of money. And this is something that we believe in. And if it's us dancing outside to practice, or dancing at a school, or just somewhere where we could practice for free, then you know what? That's what we're gonna do, because it means this young little lady or this young little boy could dance with us.
It's important, very important to me, that when I put something out, that I have done all my homework. I know about the dance, I know about the costume, and it will be the right costume, and I want my students to look the best out there. I want the audience to go, wow, look at the students dance, look at the costumes, look at the effort that goes behind it, and that is very important to me.
I've learned that no matter what you're doing, you have to smile when you're on stage, because you don't know who's out there. People take pictures of you, and you don't know how you look, so you always have to be smiling.
The skirt and the footwork. That's what's hard, because you gotta not focus on just your feet, but also moving your hands and everything, so you gotta do multitask.
The ability to be able to see all these little kids, and there's been about, to be honest, about 3 times that I'm going, why am I doing this? Okay, that's it, I need to stop what I'm doing. And they say, Ms. Sanchez, you're the best teacher. I love doing these dances. And just they bring a tear to my eyes, because it just never fails. Those 3 times that I've said, okay, that's it. I need to focus on something else. So I can't stop, even though my body tells me to.
Become a Docublogger. Log on to Docubloggers.org to share your opinions and story ideas, or get out your camera and create your own Docublog.